going on, guys? This is Joe, one half of the Bearded Brothers, and I want to thank you and welcome you all to a brand new series we will be doing here on the Bearded Life channel called The Chronicles of the Bearded Dad. What's going on, guys? And again, thank you all for joining me. A little bit of a intro, if you will, after the intro of the intro. So you guys all know me and my brother from what we do in the beard community, okay? Let me just, there we go, okay? And that's kind of how we've made our name in the community, between reviewing and I guess influencing as well, and just general outtakes in the community, getting involved with things. We did the rare disease awareness and things like that, and doing our best to do our part overall in the community. But more recently, I've decided that I was going to take a personal journey here, which is why you'll notice there's no Nick sitting next to me, okay? This journey is all about me and the real superstar of our group, my daughter, Sammy Cakes. For those of you who don't know, a little background on me. At 14, I was diagnosed with a condition called neurofibromatosis type 2. What this condition is a series of tumors that grow along nerve endings throughout the body, most commonly bilaterally in your inner ear. As you can see here, the scars going along the side of my head, okay? I had 2 surgeries done when I was 14 years old. I missed 14 and 15 respectfully. I missed a whole sophomore year of high school. I did it from home, obviously. That way I didn't have to repeat it. Took a full year to recover and all that good stuff. And then I was back on my feet, back to my own. And for the next, I don't know, maybe 10 years of my life, things were smooth sailing. Everything was good. When I was, okay, let's round this in real quick. So August 23rd, 2007. That's the date that forever changed my life. Why? Because that's the date that Sammy Cakes was born. And on this date, it changed everything for me. It changed everything about me. When I was younger, I mean, not like ultra younger, I was 23 when she was born. So when I was in my early 20s, I was married very young, found a girl that I loved. We were in love, we were happy, we were having a good time, we were going out, we were enjoying ourselves. Woke up one morning, she told me she was pregnant, and I decided I needed to change my life. I wanted to be the kind of person that I wanted my daughter to look at and say, that's what a man should be. That's what a man should do, and that's how he should take care of his family and the people that he loves. So I decided, no more going out acting crazy, no more drinking, no more smoking, no more none of that stuff. And I don't mean cigarettes, because I know you guys have all seen my lives. So I just decided I was going to be done with all this stuff, right? So my daughter was born, and at first I'm as happy as can be. I'm 23 years old. I'm working for Brinks Home Security at the time. I'm making about 16 bucks an hour, which at the time was pretty good money, man, especially for a 23-year-old with no college diploma, no nothing like that. You know, I just jumped into the workforce, and here I am at 23 working for Brinks. I've got a young family. I'm as happy as can be because it looks like I'm headed down the right direction. And everything is going as smooth sailing as it can at this point. And then one day, I start getting up in the morning and I'm noticing that my legs and my back just don't want to cooperate with me. It's taken me a good half hour or so just to get out of bed. Then I started noticing pressure in the back of my head. And when it really changed for me was I was down the shore, which if you're not familiar with Jersey, down the shore means basically down by where the beach is and all that good stuff. I was down the shore for a job, for an installation. Customer home, no big deal, just a standard installation. And I began the process of setting all my equipment up. I set up a ladder in their garage because I had to run wire through the garage. Now, I didn't generally have to use a ladder that often because of my height. I'm about 6'4", so I didn't really need the ladder all that often. But in this garage, it was pretty high up, so I wanted to make sure that I had everything tucked away neatly in the corners. So I got the ladder out. The next thing I remember, I'm waking up in an emergency room. No idea what happened. Apparently, this poor woman who owned the home walked in and found me laying passed out on her garage floor. So, I mean, you can only imagine what went through this woman's brain as she walks in, and here I am passed out on the floor. She then called 911. She called my central office. So as I woke up to my father-in-law at the time, my wife, and my boss, all standing around my bed. I had zero clue what had happened. To this day, it was completely and utterly unexpected, okay? So, fast forward a little bit, right? I go back to work. I stay home. The doctors tell me to stay home for a week. They can't find anything on the x-rays, none of that stuff. So they tell me, go home, take it easy for a week, and then go back to work. I go back to work. And for a couple of weeks, things are fine. And then the same thing happens almost. I get the same kind of feeling, if you will, and I know that something's not right. So I actually called my boss and said, listen, something's up. I got to get out of here. And as I was trying to drive home, actually, I nearly passed out on the parkway, had to pull over and call an ambulance to come get me. And I wound up back in an emergency room again. Now, this is probably a little bit of hard-headedness on my point because I know my condition. But what I was told when I was 14, when I had the surgeries and such, was that I was good now. I had beaten it. It was over, right? So it's not even creeping into my brain that there's a possibility that this thing is back. I'm being told that I beat it, okay? It's a hereditary condition. My whole family has had to deal with it, but I'm being told that, hey, we found it early enough. You beat it, you're good, and you're going to live a normal life. So my job comes to me and they tell me they don't feel comfortable with me on installs anymore. They want me to switch over to sales. Now, for whatever reason, I was never really comfortable with a commission job. I liked working on an hourly rate and doing my thing. So we parted ways amicably, and I took on 2 separate jobs to make up for the income loss. And again, same thing. I'm going to work. I'm fine. I feel fine. I'm doing good. And then one morning I wake up and it feels like there are hot pokers all over my leg and my back. And I just couldn't do it. I wound up having to go to an emergency room again. And this doctor finally said, with your family history, an x-ray won't show us much. I'd like to get you into an MRI machine. So why don't we keep you overnight? And let's schedule the MRI for the morning. He did. And if you've ever seen an MRI readout or the pictures from a CAT scan or such, the way you can tell if something's wrong is it's a bright white spot. That's when you know something's not right, especially when they show you your brain. Everything will be kind of a darker image, and then there'll be a bright white spot showing you something's not right there. Well, in my brain, it showed 3 different bright white spots. And then on my back, it showed about 14 of them. Told me to follow up with my normal physician, put me out of work. I went to see my doctor and stuff. I went to see specialists. I went to see 3 different specialists, actually, because every one of them kept telling me the same thing, that they couldn't sign off on me to go back to work. Now, again, at this point, I'm 25. Sam's 2 years old. Not going to work just doesn't seem like an option to me. But this is what they're telling me is going to happen. I actually ignored the doctors, however. I did not hand their note in to anybody, and I just tried to go back to work. And things just progressively got worse, and I put myself and probably a lot of people around me in a dangerous position because I was being hard-headed and stubborn. Eventually, I was forced to do what I didn't want to do, and that was go on disability. I went on disability with the hope that maybe there was some way, something we could do to get me back to being me eventually one day. Now, this version of me, I know on the surface it looks like I'm fine. But if I try to lean forward or something like that, if I try to pick up something off the ground, if I even try to walk without looking at the ground the whole time, I'm going down. I'm losing my balance. I'm going to the floor. I deal with severe pain 24/7. I deal with loss of numbness in my fingers, tingling, stuff like that. There's just a lot that comes with this situation, unfortunately. So my life has now changed. And for my wife at the time, I think her outlook on me changed as well. She knew about this condition when she met me. However, when she met me, I was also the cool guy, if you will. Had a car, 19 years old, had my own job, made my own money. Everything was cool. You know, now I'm a 25-year-old on disability, and it's not temporary, it's permanent. It's never going to change. So we progressively got worse. And in my brain, I kept telling myself that I needed to make things okay, you know, and I kept trying to make things okay. So you go from a weekly income, if you will, onto a monthly income that's a fraction of what you were making, and your life drastically changes. So what I decided I was going to do was I was going to become the best father I could possibly be without being a provider. And me and my daughter's bond became as strong as it possibly could be at the time. We were as close as could be. We were together every day. Me and my wife's bond, not so much. She started going out, leaving us for whole days at a time. And I got to say, looking back on it, as much as I was angry, I can understand her frustrations, if you will. While I'm not condoning her actions, I'm saying I understand why she was frustrated. I'm not providing. I'm not doing the things I felt like I was supposed to do. And it affected me mentally as well. I wasn't in a good place. If I wasn't with my daughter, I wasn't happy, you know. And even when I was with Sam, I don't know how happy I really was, or if I was just putting on an act and, trying to make her feel like everything was okay. And this went on for a long time. And something I'll give as a bit of advice here, guys, don't try and force it. And what I mean by that is, I tried to pretend like things were fine for my daughter. I thought that, you know, because of Sam, I needed to keep us together. I needed to make this work. But the reality is that if something's broken, the kids can see that. And Sam felt it every day. She felt it, that me and her mom were not getting along, that things weren't right. And things just continuously got worse because I wasn't willing to accept the reality of our situation and where we were as a couple at the time. And I continuously tried to patch things up, tried to pretend like things were fine. I even lied to the people around me and told them that we were fine, we were good, nothing was wrong, everything was peachy keen on the inside. When the reality was we were starting down a very dark path that was going to be a very long path as well for all of us, everybody involved really. And I just tried to bury myself in being a father to my daughter, and I tried to just pretend that everything around me was fine. But guys, trust me, when you try to act like things are okay and you try to pretend like things are fine, kids aren't dumb, man. They know, you know, they pick up on everything, I promise you. And Sam wasn't dumb. Sam's never been dumb, you know. She knew. She wasn't crazy. She knew what was going on, and she was able to feed off of everything. She knew her mom was gone all day long. She knew that when her mom and dad were together, they weren't talking that much. They weren't saying much to each other. And compounding things was the fact that because I was on disability and because I didn't have a lot of money, we were living in her parents' home. And we were in one room. So you're putting 2 adults and a child in one room all day long. It was just a recipe for disaster that was never going to go anywhere good. And reality speaking, I should have probably noticed things a lot sooner than I did. I'll take blame for that one, for not understanding exactly what was coming and knowing where we were headed and trying to do more about it perhaps, or maybe even accepting what was coming and doing the right thing before it was forced upon me. You know, guys, we're going to go through a long journey here together, and I promise you it's not going to be all negatives, but I promised you guys from the door that I was going to be honest and real with you, and non-edited, just as real as I could be, and sharing my story with you guys and sharing what me and Sammy Cakes have had to go through. This is just the groundwork. There's a lot more to come, and things are about to get very, very real for me and Sam in our world for a very long time. To kind of sum up this little episode here and get us ready for where we're going, finally, one day, it was actually a day I'll never forget. The Giants had just won the Super Bowl. I'm a Giants fan, if you guys didn't know. The Giants had just won the Super Bowl for the second time in a few years. And the first time they won, me and my friends had gone to the rally at the stadium. So this year we were all planning on doing the same thing. We wanted to go to the parade. We wanted to go to the rally. And my wife said, you know, sure, I'm going to go out for a little while. When I get back, you can go. She disappeared for the day. And when she came back, we were destroyed. And it wasn't because she didn't come back in time for me to go to this. I guess she had just been building this up inside of her and waiting for the moment, and she found it. So I was forced to say goodbye to my daughter, and it was time for me to leave the house. Like I said, it was her family's house. It wasn't really an option for me to stay and her to go. So I was forced to walk away. And it was one of the hardest things in my life because I still loved the girl, and I obviously loved my daughter very much. But this was the reality of our situation. And this is where we'll stop for now. The whole purpose for this, guys, is to let single dads out there know that whatever you're going through, whatever's going on, someone else is going through that, or someone else has gone through that. And my hope is that for everybody who watches this to understand and feel what we are all going through and come together as a group. And if any dads out there want to reach out, want to talk about something, man, hit me up on Instagram, beardedlife973. I'm always available. I'll always get back to you. I'll always answer you guys. I'm always there. And this is just part one of the Bearded Dad Chronicles. And I thank you all for joining me. And I promise you, I will never lie to you guys. Everything I give you will be straightforward and honest and real. So thank you all very much for joining me for the first episode. I hope you come back for the next one. And guys, be safe out there and take care of each other.